you so much. Welcome.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for making time. You are from Soweto, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Where is it?
White City, Tshabalala.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
One shop.
Yes. Born and bred there?
No, it's not Mzimhlope.
Is it not?
They have more or less the same how the structures.
Yeah.
The house structures more or less.
But
not the same. Mzimhlope, Orlando,
Yeah.
White City, Morris Isaacson.
Oh, no. You see, me, when it comes to Soweto, I'm a lost case. Completely.
I could give you a tour.
Definitely. I'll be grateful.
And it's huge. It's a whole day tour. It's a whole day tour.
Look, I just know how to get to the Hector Peterson Museum. I know how to get to Maponya Mall. I know how to get to Vilakazi Street, Jabulani Mall. That's it. That's my Soweto.
But it's huge. It's very huge. I remember when I went there the first time. And they were taking me through a tour. It was a whole day. And we didn't even finish it.
No.
Because then there's Proti, what?
Yeah. The Proteas are those right at the outskirts.
Yes.
I only know them because when you are coming from Kagiso going to the highway, you pass there. That's it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. But thank you for making time. And I know this can be intimidating, but don't be intimidated. You don't look like you can be easily intimidated. Which is good. But yeah, I think the purpose of the session is to just get to know your business, discuss what you are doing, how the business is going, the highlights, but also the challenges that you're experiencing in the business. And let's discuss around those. So the idea is really to advise, it's your business.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you have the final say. What we can just do is just share some of our thoughts or ideas, looking at it from the outside.
Okay.
So it's sort of like your blind spots.
Okay, yeah.
So that's basically what the session is about. So feel free. I mean, sure. I think these guys are experts far more than me. But what I know is they've also failed. So they mustn't come and pretend as if we have also.
I think I've seen them on the blinders.
Yes. So they also have their scars, right? So we know what it takes.
Yes.
We have struggled with as well.
Absolutely.
So the agenda basically will start with you. You sort of give us a sense of what you do, who you are, firstly. What's been your entrepreneurial journey so far, and then you tell us about the business, where it is, what are the highlights of the business, and what are the challenges of the business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I start from the beginning?
Well, just highlights of I mean, when did you start, and you can start with the Nigerikisa, Keep.
It's very interesting.
To where you are now.
To where I'm at. So I think my entrepreneurial journey started from a very young age. And I think there was a time when Nedbank had, they had something with the WWF. You would actually sell, they'll give you a catalog and you will select sweets. And then from those sweets, people would pre-order. And then we would deliver. So somehow my dad decided, try this within the community. And I think that's how it started. And then from there, going straight into high school, I started selling cakes because I loved making an extra income. And it was quite awkward. Why am I actually selling cake? And I used to go to a very, top-notch school kind of a thing. So I thought, why not sell it? I'm getting myself an extra income. I'm doing my grade 11 matric. It would actually go towards stationery and A, B, C, and D. So it started there. And then right after high school, within gap year, because I did not have the funds to pursue my studies, I started selling curios at Regina Mundi Church. I don't know if you would know that. So there were some ladies who used to make these beautiful baskets, and I would order them and go to your Regina Mundi, set up my stall. And then that's when I started getting paid. Probably I would get paid. They would buy from my stall once a week or so, but it was not so much. So I would get paid in dollars. And then I was like, man, this is just too little money. I need more. There was just something driving me to get more. Then along the way, I left the baking business because I thought it was just too tedious, and it was, I would constantly have to listen to people complaining. And I was like, no, this is really not for me. Then I left that. Then I went into corporate, decided, no, I'm not an 8-to-5 girl, decided to leave the corporate. I wanted to do something more or less of, because I started then pursuing my studies through UNISA. So it was long distance studying. And there was a gap which I actually saw in the market. And then I started seeing that gap, but it did not materialize that much. Ultimately, I decided to have an internet cafe because there was a need within the community to have an internet cafe. So the internet cafe was quite successful, and I went in there, with the passion to say, I'm going to make it, not knowing that there are rental costs, there are printing costs, there are just so many expenses that actually go into it. The business, I don't want to lie, it did so relatively well because we were also just at the top of a shopping complex, and it was adjacent to there was about 3 or 4 surrounding schools. And come January, that is your booming season. And then started working with some of your funeral undertakers who would be, I would do their programs. So I would take some of my corporate experience and then apply it here, and it worked to my benefit. But then when the business started booming and it was going quite great, the landlord decided to increase the rental. And then my family members wanted to get into it. They were like, no, it's not on. Rather come back and operate from our private property. But then along that time, it also happened that Joburg, the municipality, started rolling out free Wi-Fi access to your Rea Vaya bus stations. So where I was situated, my granny's house is by Rockville, and the main hub, the Rea Vaya bus hub, it is situated by the Togoza Park. So instead of my clients now coming to me and Googling using my internet services, they started going for the free Wi-Fi. And then one way or the other, then I started seeing the business just going straight down. So that was just doing a lot of doing this, doing that. And then ultimately, just I would also just, go fast pace. When was it? Just in the middle of COVID, we were working from home. I got another corporate job, working from home. Then I decided, you know what? My mom really loves lamb. And how many other people who really enjoy a nice packet of a half lamb? But then when I would go to your retail stores, I would find that it's quite exorbitant. One way or the other, then I decided, let me go to the auction and see how much a livestock lamb is. And only to find, then I started to divide it. If I were to do this is how much profit I would make. And then I started promoting that. From there, the business started moving. That was the meat business. And I think you know me from the meat business. Yeah. Simultaneously, then my late dad, just before he passed away, he decided he's also interested in operating a dairy business. So now the dairy, because he did not have a company of his own, then he decided to use my company. So I'm like, okay, good and well. I will not operate it. You can take my credentials. I will not be involved. But then as he was operating it, as he started getting customers, I was like, okay, there's also a niche there. So I married the two, the dairy and the meat products. And then it happened that 6 months down the line, he passes away. So now I've got a big market with your dairy product. I've started advertising on your social media pages, and on the other end, I also have got suppliers that I'm also supplying. Your foreign nationals, I'm supplying those Pakistani shops, I'm supplying your locals. The business is promising. Then lo and behold, after he had gone, they started asking me, where's the stock? Where's the stock? So I was like, do I continue? Do I leave? Not. I decided to continue, and at this point in time, I've got about 2 businesses directly that are linked to me, which is your dairy business and it is the dairy and the meat. And also with the meat, it is actually seasonal. They're both seasonal. So with your dairy products, you will find that come summer, that is when you get high. The intake is quite high, and then in winter, with the insides of the sheep, that is when it's at its peak, and it also works. Yes, so winter season, this is when you'll find there's a boom. So both of these businesses, they just complement each other when it comes to time frames. Then, so I've got those 2 on the one hand, with my mom now assisting me with that. Lo and behold, still working on those 2. So now I'm talking about early 2023, which is last year. And then because of, they say, mental illness or just also being unhappy where I used to work for. I used to work for a corporate company, and it was specializing in commercial property finance. Because of also my issues within the corporate space, I decided, let me just call it quits and try to do something within the township environment that has to do with properties. Because now I have been exposed to this environment that deals with properties, commercial property. But then when it comes to residential, I started going into deeper and finding out that there's also a gap in the market. I started then, once I had resigned, contacted a few estate agents within the township area and started having a conversation with them about the challenges which they're facing. And then I had left that company, and then I started then working with my mom in her events company. So now what we do, and that is where I think that's what brings me here today, is that I have been directing. I'm the project director for Snotilo conferences. And what we essentially do is to have events, host events that are dealing with the issues township principals and property practitioners are faced with on a consistent basis. So that is where I come in with Snotilo conferences by ensuring that on a time-to-time basis in a period of a year. We started last year in May. So this year, May, we'll be doing our 1-year anniversary, and with the success so far, we have had 4 successful property events within the area, within the township area, and we have had 1 social event, which was Mother's Day. So that is how the journey has been. So when I look at it, and maybe somebody might be confused, why you know, all over the place? I think every now and again, when you are in a certain business, you'll always find that there is, you find that you grow and you develop and you see that, oh, you know what, I'm actually pretty much better in this space. And maybe time just allows you to actually focus in a certain particular project that you're dealing with. So, so far, I have to also say that with regards to my role at Snotile, there has been quite great. There's been such great success. Also because, I'm coming from a commercial property finance perspective, and I'm going into retail, working with the estate agents, working with those principals, knowing what are their difficulties that they faced with, and trying to find solutions. So what we normally do then, which we had, our last event was on the 13th of March. What we then do is that so far we have had 2 property expos, and within those property expos, we're trying to say, you know what, let us not work in silos. There's power in collaborations. And there's certain things which we have also discovered. You have Africans being at the very bottom of the barrel. They're actually standing at 3%, and then you have our other counterparts who are standing at 97%. So those 2 numbers, they do not marry each other quite well. So as Snotile conferences, we have been given open arms to say, you know what, whatever that you need to do, could you please do it? Because somehow or the other, somebody has to talk, and not just talk, but then let us gather our minds and let us do something about these 2 imbalances. This is $1 billion industry, and you ask yourself, who has the 3%? Within these billions, who has got the most, who's got the biggest share in the pie? So that is where I'm at this point in time.
So, interesting. 4 events, 1 social event.
That's 5 events, yes, sir.
All right. So you own this? Snotile is owned by you?
Snotile is owned by my mom.
Oh.
She's in her prime. She's 64.
Mm-hmm.
So she was about to give up on her dream. She was about to give up, but then I came in, and how I came in with just to revitalize it.
Yeah.
And yes, but then when it comes to ownership, it is still under her name. But then when it comes to operations and the direction, that's where I'm at.
So this is like a family thing where you register the business, the father used your business, your mom registers the business, you are using your business.
Yes.
Like it's
Absolutely. We are a team. And we believe that, we do believe that if there is a vision, for us to actually get to a certain goal, let us all put our, undivided attention on this. Let's see it grow and develop, because we also have got different set of skills. Yeah. So that's why I actually brought in, and I mentioned the 2 companies, to say if it was also not of their contribution, I'm not too sure how far the business would have gone. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm not saying I'm returning the favor, but then if the opportunity is there, why not?
So the other business, the sheep and the dairy, is still running?
Which one?
The sheep.
The dairy business,
the dairy.
Yes, it is still in operation.
Okay.
So every now and again, I will get your orders. And then I know because we also have got a great network of farmers.
Yeah.
So should I get a consignment for the livestock? Mm-hmm. I know who to contact, and then it gets delivered.
And the dairy?
Including the dairy. So the dairy is, it's done on a weekly basis. So every week I get my consignment and it gets delivered. I'm the middle person.
Okay.
Yes.
So how do you make money from the conferencing?
That's where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
When I went into the conferencing, I thought, in fact, I don't want to say I thought, there was an assumption that if you were just to, gather people, speak to ABC and this person and that person, and you put a certain charge, they will all just say yes and give us a big hand clap. But to be quite honest, it's not so. You will find, example, the very target markets I'm working with, your estate agents. they have, I don't want to say they're just, they are used for most of their events to be catered for and sponsored fully by your conveyancers, by your attorneys, by your finances. So if I come through and say, there's a certain event, I need you to pay for it, they'll be like, no, we are not accustomed to that. We are not accustomed to taking out money from our pockets. Why should we? So the value has always been somebody will actually pay for it. So now where we are standing currently is that if we want to have an event, we have to get them to, we don't charge the normal going rates because we don't have sponsorship. And then they get the basic of the whole conference when it comes, example, to catering. Or our location would not be in a place like your suburban area because we won't be able to afford the venue. So we'll have to use the local hall. You understand my point? And then from the proceeds of whatever that they will be contributing, example, maybe it could be 100 Rand, that needs to cover for the overhead costs from our side. So at this point in time, as much as we have been able to gather plus minus close to 300 people, if not more, we haven't even broken even.
I was actually going to ask.
And that is where the contention is, that even if I were to, I've been having good relationships with your finances, your banks, and with your potential sponsors, but they're like, you know what, you're still early in the business. We don't really trust that you'll be here in the next 5 years. They still want to, I don't know, maybe they still want to see us in the game for about 3 years, then only they can actually trust us with funding.
When was Snotile registered?
Snotile was registered early 2008. Yeah, 2008.
And what was the purpose? What was supposed to be the purpose of Snotile?
The purpose for it was, when I understood the background behind it, is that also the owner of the company, she had, which is my mom, she had this thing of she will be using what do you call these people? Your associations, as in your COSATUs. She will get business from those people. So she had this assumption that she would go to them, approach a certain person, and then have events for them. But then after she also kept on banging those doors, knocking on those doors, nothing much actually materialized. And she was always given, not today. Yeah.
So it was established 4 events.
4 events,
to
yes.
Events, okay.
Yes.
And then you came along and you said, I have a good idea. Let's do this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So when I came along, it was all about saying there is a target which I have identified whilst I was still at corporate. Yeah. How about we do this? Yeah. And when we started, it was like, we're going to test if it's going to work.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I should have done this earlier, but this is my colleague, Anto, which I think you know, and that's Dr. Mbali.
Dr. Mbali.
Yes, on the other side. I'm Rosh.
Dr. Rosh.
Yes. Yeah. These are the ones that are going to take more time. So I'm done. Over to you guys. I have a few questions or ideas, but yeah. I also owned an internet cafe in my previous life.
Okay.
And yeah.
You know the ups and downs.
Yeah. When the city started doing the free Wi-Fi, I'm
out.
Yeah. But anyway, Anto?
Yeah, what an incredible journey, Mbali.
It has.
Yeah. And obviously, I think what it's done for you, if I just listen to this last business from the first, is that you've gained significant experience.
Yes.
right? In terms of what to do and what not to do. But I think the main question for me is, again, building an asset of value, which means that you need to have a profitable, sustainable business model.
Absolutely.
And so as much as you've been able to attract 350 or 300 attendees to the conferences, it's not yielding financial results.
No.
And that in and of itself for me is enough to go, I'm out. Right? If it's not making me money, then what am I doing?
Absolutely.
Right?
Correct.
It doesn't mean shutting down Snotile, but it means pivoting. It could mean that you have to pivot from hosting property-related conferences to possibly becoming an events management company. Right? If it is something that you do enjoy doing.
Okay.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So I think for me, what we probably need to walk away with today is that profitable, sustainable business model. And when we went through the Grow My Business workshop, did you complete the business model canvas for this one? I can say, no, you didn't.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Then?
I did. You know, it's more or less, okay, I'm guilty. We did complete all of those tasks. We did complete the business model.
For Snotile.
For Snotile, because I actually took it as a template and applied it to it as well.
Okay.
But then there's always that thing of, you know, it's like sometimes as an entrepreneur, you take business as if you are playing the lottery. Yes.
Okay.
And there just becomes that thing that, oh, maybe this time
I'm gonna hit.
We're going to break even. You know, as much as you've got that guide, as much as you know what is expected of a business, when you're in it and you have somehow convinced yourself that it is going to, these are the results that are going to be yielded. Then come the results, only to find that you have actually shot yourself at the foot again.
Right. And I think for me, this is an amazing opportunity for you to stop shooting yourself in the foot by making more strategic decisions.
Yes.
Right. So if the BMC says it does not make sense, listen, it does not make sense. If those 9 building blocks in the business model canvas are not all ticked, then you just don't do it, right? That's a more realistic approach. That is a more strategic approach instead of having a hopeful approach. I'm hoping this thing is going to work, right? I'm hoping this time it's actually going to yield the results that I want. And so I think for me, the main thing possibly out of today's discussion is, how do you get to create that asset of value by having a profitable, sustainable business model?
Yes.
While using what you have, right? And so is it seeking sponsors for the property expos? Or is it transitioning from being a property expo conferencing company to possibly being an events management company? That can open up a whole bunch of doors for you, right? So if you do enjoy managing events, then that just opens up a whole array of possibilities. Yes. But I also like the niche of having a property expo business, and possibly having that sponsored. I mean, if attendees don't want to pay, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
Exactly.
But it could mean getting sponsors on board, right? So I think for me it is really exploring, what does a profitable, sustainable Snotile look like? And how do we get you there? And I think the other thing would also be focusing. Number 2 for me, is that focus. You cannot be doing too many things, because it does take away, especially when they're not even related.
Yes, they're not.
They're not. And so I think one thing I'd love to leave with you today is to consider And this was what I wrote down. What moves your soul? You know, like, are you just doing this because it can possibly generate revenue? You know, or are you passionate about the dairy and meat space? Are you passionate about the property expo space? Yes. What moves your soul? Because that does play a role. It doesn't mean it's the only thing that you need to have in the bag.
Yeah.
But what you're passionate about, plus your skill set, should generate you significant revenue. You know, so between these two businesses, consider getting the consignment once a month or once a week. Am I happy with that? Yeah. Can I turn this into an asset of value? Can I turn the dairy business into an asset of value? You know, so yeah, I think for me it's weighing up between the two. What is the thing that can actually, or perhaps even taking a step back a bit, what is the one that is actually generating revenue? It might not be huge revenues, yes, right? But the Snotile is generating awareness and it's putting you out into the community, but it's not generating revenue. The dairy and meat business is not creating that awareness. It's not sexy, but it's generating revenue, right? And so I think you have to weigh up between the two. I would obviously steer you more towards the dairy and meat business because it's generating revenue. And then what is it that you need to do there to unlock even more value in that business? But again, as Dr. Mamabolo said, it's your decision to make.
Yes.
You know, I think the only advice I'd give there is if it doesn't generate revenue, it's wasting your time.
Unless if you can find a way of making money out of this.
Yes.
Because, I mean, my experience has always been, you're going to get tired.
Yeah.
You're going to get tired of giving,
Yes.
Yeah.
and this thing's not giving you back.
Right.
You're going to be frustrated by people who don't want to pay, but they want to attend.
And eat.
Or
And be exposed to information.
And they get information, they get opportunities, they go out there, they flourish, and you don't get anything in return. So it has to make financial sense at some point. You need to find that. I've done that. I've been there. Where I've had these events and everybody's happy, but I have a hole in my pocket.
Yeah, a big one.
You know, I have a hole in my pocket, and
been there too.
You know, I've done that for a while. It's entrepreneurship events. I'm like, no. I've at a point where I've paid my dues. You know, you know, let others do this. You know, and probably they have a budget, CSI budget, whatever budget. Unless if you find a way of monetizing this thing, this passion is going to turn into frustration, and at some point you're gonna hate it because it didn't look after you. You look after it, but it didn't look after you in return. So you know, if you continue to do it as not as a main business, because it's not even a business. I wouldn't say it's a business, but do it as I'm passionate. I've made money here. I love this space. Let me take 10% of what I've made here, and let me do this. And you know that you don't have expectations. But if you're gonna want to do this full time, it's gonna have to make financial sense. Yeah. Otherwise, it's gonna frustrate you, and your mom is gonna ask you, "Njani manje Mbali? This thing is not making. It's actually taking money from the dairy."
Because I was about to say, the dairy is sustaining.
Yeah.
So the way it should be.
Yeah.
Every business should be standing on its own leg.
Yes.
and measure the success.
And then once it starts doing that, you don't maximize the potential of the dairy.
Exactly.
Because you're milking it. And it's
no pun intended.
Yes, no pun intended.
So you see where the people that speaks a lot.
I'm done.
Can I just say quickly before you start, Dr. Malloy, is that's my fear as well for you. That if this continues not to generate revenues, it can strain your relationship with your mum. So just a caution. Yeah.
Because it might even bankrupt this one.
Yeah.
I've actually seen businesses that were profit making, and the owner decides to go into a business that is not profit making. And over time, because this one is feeding this one ends up not even having money for stock.
Don't go far, Commander. In 2013, I went into that. In 2013 and that, I started a media business. And we got into the media business. We were one of the two companies in this country that started online radio. Before all of them jumped into online radio, there was two companies that started, one in Cape Town and me here. Oceans 2 in Cape Town, and it was me here. We did that. We even did TV content and that. And at the end of 2 years or so, I had lost 4 million rand in that business, right? And the other business was funding it, but I'd lost 4 million in it. So it's very important. And my question is, why did you guys start this conference business?
I think,
specifically with this estate agents and that. Well, why did we start it? What problem were we solving?
I think it was not really about. Maybe it was more of it was dead. It was a dead company that was dormant. So when I came in with because as I had alluded, I was coming from a commercial property finance background. Okay, and then within that, I used to purchase properties for your RAF beneficiaries. Right. So when I started dealing with our township estate agents, property practitioners, there was just a lot of differences between, I will put it blunt, your white estate agents and your African ones. And I was like, no, man, something is not balancing. And it actually happened concurrently with, the death of my dad, with just being upset with the corporate life. So when I sat down, I was like, what's next? Now that I've left without no plan, I was like, let me just jump in here and see how to resuscitate this business that has been dormant.
But you see, my thing, and it's exactly, and that's what the very important issue is for me. And that's what I'm saying. What problem were you solving?
Okay.
Right.
The problem that we are currently trying to solve is that the estate agents, your principals and your estate agents, they need to find a way of actually not working in silos, but by actually getting into the market in a way of being able to bridge this gap of the whole differences of you've got them being at 93% and then your white counterparts being at your 90.
Bring it here.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why I'm asking this. So, in the quality space, I ask a question every time and say, have you identified the customer need? And have you identified the customer expectation? Right. And how do you identify the customer need? By coming to a customer and say, how can I serve you? Okay. Right. Now, the reason the reason you got into this business and you are not making money and you shouldn't have been in this business is because you didn't ask that. So you created a business out of what you thought the customer needed and not what the customer needed, right? So, or what the customer wants. So in that way, that if you had established it and went to the customer and said, how can I serve you? The customer would have said this way. Then you would have said to the customer, are you able to pay me for that? And the customer would have said yes. So it's your fault. At this moment, you went to try to sell them something that they don't think they need. And that's why they don't see a need to pay their money for it. Because I don't need it. Why must I pay my money for it? You know, what is she giving me? Oh, no, I'll go and eat. Because I don't see how the value of it. How is it helping me? So you started this business in a wrong way. And businesses that are started in that way fail majority of the time. Because we need to be solving a certain problem. So we need to solve a problem. We need to go research the problem, come up with a solution for the problem, and bring in a solution and commercialize the solution. So the timeline of business is we identify a problem, we investigate and research a solution, we formulate that solution, we commercialize that solution, and we take it to market. So once there was no problem and no solution there's nothing to take to the market. So that's why you are not getting the money. Right? That's all I have to say for this one. For the one of the sheep and that, you now have got a database of 300 people from the business that made you no money. But you've got a database of 300 people. How have we used this database of 300 people to give the business of milk and meat traction? Right. Yeah. So we've got 300 contacts here.
Yes.
Do they eat? Yes. Do they need milk? Do they need meat? Right? So here we already have got 300 people that could be potential clients for this business. Right? Let this business pay us somehow. Okay. The reason that your milk and meat business is seasonal, it's only because you don't have enough clientele for it. Once you get enough clients, it is not going to be seasonal. It will be booming. Right? Throughout the year. Right? Because people eat meat every single day.
Yeah. And drink milk.
People use milk every single day.
Tea.
Right? So these businesses can go. What I would be doing here is looking and say, how do I grow this business? Yeah. People will eat always. You can never go wrong in a food business, especially where you're supplying food, right? People will always eat. Now, perhaps you need to be looking at things like, how? So I got into that business, not of selling meat or anything, but I got to understand about, I started buying calves. Right? So I bought calves immediately after the milk, because how it works is that in the dairy industry, they need calves for one reason, for the mother to give milk. Yes. Immediately when the calf is born and the mother gives milk, they give the calf away. Right? They give them to zoos to feed predators and that. That's what they do, right? Okay. They don't use those calves. They have no use for them. So at 1 day old, they remove them from their mother. Right? A cruel world, but yeah. Now, when you go to a dairy farmer, which you already have contact with, because they supply milk to you, and you say to them, I actually need calves. So can I buy day-old calves from you?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
It's not per se a dairy farm.
Oh, so you're not getting it from dairy farms?
No, I get it from. So I'm basically acting as a distribution center.
Distribution center. Okay, yes, that's fine. Okay. That's fine. Yeah. But when you go and find dairy farmers, even as close as Magaliesberg, there are dairy farmers that get rid of calves. You pay for calves anything between 350 rand a calf up until 850, right? I bought hundreds of them, right? I have a lot of them that died, but I had a lot of them that grew up. Okay, and then you feed them with a bottle.
Yes.
All right. So when you buy them, advice is don't buy them intense like I used to. I bought 50 at the same time, 150 and those, and they die, right? They die because when one gets sick, the whole lot will get sick and they will die, right? And you can't take care of them because there's just too many of them, right? So if you buy them by 5s and maximum 10, you are able to take care of them. 1 month, you give them milk. On the 2nd month, they start eating. On the 3rd month, they're on their own. You're not feeding them anymore. Yes. In 12 months, it's ready for slaughter. So I'm talking about a cow that you bought for 300 rand in a year being worth 8,000 rand, 10,000 if you sell it as a food. But if you slaughter and you sell meat, even more than that. There is no even bank or any investment scheme that would give you such returns, right? That's how you should be looking at growing this business. Can I buy lambs and grow them? So instead of wasting your money that side to feed people, take that money, feed animals that are going to grow old for you to get meat, to get milk, and be able to grow this business. So look at how can I grow this business, right? So when I first bought them, I used to buy them, and you see this Masaka at the township, and even so as you come in opposite the Orlando Stadium, you will see there are crawls there where people are, right? They are there now. So I went, I asked the guys there, they said, no, we all just, you buy your own fence and you put your own crawl and and you've got someone that looks after them. And I did not need a farm to start. By the time I had enough of a livestock to take to the farm, that's the only time I thought farm, and I went farm. So there is a way of growing this business and that, but it's a business that has got money. This other one doesn't have money. But this other one has given you 300 contacts that you can start talking to because you have established a relationship with them to be able to push this other business.
Yeah, I think a question for me is, why did you think it was seasonal?
Because with regards to the dairy product, there's a specific, I sell Nkomas, the Tshabalala. I use the Orange Grove brand. So summertime, the demand is very high for the amasi, not the milk, because with milk there are a lot of competitors. So my focus within the food chain, within the whole system, was the amasi. So come winter time, the amasi's demand goes down, but then when it comes to your sheep insides, the full set, that's when there's a high example like your Mogodu Mondays. I would supply your pubs and for Mogodu Monday, they love it.
But Mbali,
come winter season, yes.
But Mbali, in winter, the amas lasts longer than in summer. Get what I'm saying? In summer, your mass in summer, you can keep it for a week or so. You need to finish it, right? That's why the demand is too much. Because you need to finish it quicker that it doesn't stay in the fridge because it spoils. In winter, it's colder. The people can keep it longer. So it's not that people don't want it. It's because so when you have got a bigger clientele, you would be able to level it. You will be able to completely level it, right? So that's the thing. And also, in winter, in terms of meat, you'd sell more of mogodu and everything, and that in summer, you will sell more of the braai meat. You need to level it and find what works. We don't do braai in winter. We want the cozy, warmy food and that's why we'll eat mogodu. But in summer and that, we don't want the cozy, warmy food. We need to be at the braai and that. So find what works. You know, once you have found that, but it takes you taking the decision and saying, which business am I growing and what problem am I solving? Even that business, if you are not seeing anything that you are solving there, it will fail. Find us, what is it I'm solving for these people? Am I bringing them quality, better milk and meat? Am I bringing them affordable, less costly meat or milk and that? Find that. And then that will then point you to the target market that you will thrive around. Because your target market will then be what your value proposition is. This is why I'm in this business. And then therefore, this is the target market I need to talk to. And then you go to that target market.
You're spot on. Correct. You are. You actually are.
I think, that will definitely happen.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not solving, it's like a patient goes to a doctor and the doctor misdiagnoses the solution.
Yeah.
Right? So with the property thing, I'm not so sure if your solution is solving the problem.
Yes.
Because I think we might have misdiagnosed the problem and we came up with a solution that we thought is a solution. And it's not what people want. So you're gonna have to, and I know how entrepreneurs are, they're very stubborn.
Yeah.
They fall in love with an idea.
Yeah. It's like, you know what those guys are talking about. I'm gonna find a way of making
And
it
this
work.
is why it's still there.
He already has other plans for the
The next step.
Yeah.
This is what it is, Commander, because in that space, all this time she's been seeing that this business is not working. And I liked what she spoke about the lotto. She saw that it was not working, but she kept on hoping for a lucky break from this business to start working. But that lucky break is not coming. You know, I said this yesterday to my wife when she was betting the lotto again and she was talking 105 million. And I said, the numbers are not coming. And immediately after the lotto, I said, how many numbers? And she looked at me very angry. I said, you see, it's not coming. So your solution, it's not coming on that. Because you've got completely the wrong product for the target market that you are eyeing.
So you're gonna have to, lock yourself in the room and have a serious meeting with yourself and your heart, and
I just not that downplaying anything that you have said. Everything that you have said, I think it is really spot on. I think then in the instance where there is no sponsorship, if I don't get that X amount that I'm looking for to keep this business afloat, afloat probably for a 1 year period, then that is when
but I think even when you do have a sponsor, you need to be asking yourself, what business are you building? What product are you selling?
What are you selling?
What is this thing that you are selling to people and people are buying?
And which sponsor wants to put their money on it?
Because sponsorship is not revenue. It's not something that you can rely on continuously. It's often a once-off thing. And
the important question in sponsorship, Commander, is that why do I want to sponsor it?
Yeah.
What you always need to. So if you yourself cannot define the problem that you are solving and the value of it, how is the sponsor going to find that? Because the only reason I sponsor something is because it is going to benefit my business in a certain way. So I'm willing to take out 20,000 and fund this soccer tournament because there is 100 people that come to watch that soccer match. And those people are going to see my funeral undertaking cars, and it will be, and those are my clients.
Yeah.
Once they are closer to me and they see my fancy cars that I do my funerals with, they are going to sign up with me. So that's the only reason why I'm putting my 40,000 in the soccer tournament. So why would the sponsor want to come and sponsor that conference? So who is the sponsor that you are solving a problem for? So whether you are talking about clients or sponsors, that question remains very critical. What problem are you solving for that person?
So think about it from that. I mean, with the dairy, you are quite clear. There's a product, people buy this product because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're willing to pay for it. Yes. Right. So if we take the same principle for the property, what's the product? What are they willing to pay for? And if they're not willing to pay for, it's going to be very difficult for even you getting sponsors. Unless if you say to me, no, I'm going to cook this meat, and when I do this event, people will buy, right? So you use
something.
You use the event as a platform for you to
sell your meat,
to sell. Whoever comes there has to buy.
There's 300 people, and the entry to this property conference is a plate of food.
Yes.
If you buy a plate of food, you can join in. A hemp of meat, you can.
Right.
So that way you'd be doing something.
So that way you are then leveraging on what you've already built.
Yeah. It's an activation.
Yeah, so it's an activation, so to speak. Because people are interested in property, they'll come, but the entry is, here's a hamper, that's the entry. And chances are people, if they feel I'm getting something that I can eat, then they will pay. Then I go there, I might meet someone, I might not meet someone. Why do I have to pay?
And also, the problem that you have identified, they have not. So you see them as disintegrated, not together, and that 97.3. Them, they see like, we don't need to integrate. We are competitors. Yeah. She wants to create us to be.
Me with the collaboration.
She's like, no. What's she talking about? Roche is selling. You understand? That's it. You understand? So to them, they are like, no, Roche is selling, Andre is selling, I'm selling. So what is she talking about? We must meet. And then after she wants us to come and pay money for that conference where she tells us we must work together. No, it's nonsense. We're not. So that's what it is.
We'll go.
Yeah, we'll go. We like her. We like her, so we'll go. So for me, that we've got 300 names. Let's use them for something. Let's use them for something.
Mbali, make money, honey.
Yes.
Yeah. Ultimately, your business needs to generate revenue. So, like we said at the Grow My Business workshop, luck is not a business model.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you need to start making strategic moves, right? Make moves from your head space, not your heart space, or from your wallet. Yeah.
It used to.
And my sense is, unless if I'm wrong, and Mbali will correct me if I'm wrong, my sense is Mbali gets easily bored. And staying with the dairy is like, I've outgrown that business. I want something else. So if this is not working, chances of her going back are very low. She's going to look for something else.
Yeah.
But whether you go back or you look for something else, the principle remains the same. If you identify there's a gap, because you keep on talking about a gap. If you see there's a gap, you need to make sure that the solution is aligned to the gap. We call it the Valpa effect. The two are able to Valpa. They're able to come together. That's what you need to look at. There's a problem, is the solution tying to the problem? So, the tool to use there is value proposition canvas, right? So you go deeper into the value proposition and you're interrogating the solution to say, is this solution in line with the problem? Because if it's not in line with the problem, people are not going to buy it. They're not going to, and pun intended, they're not going to buy it.
Yeah.
And they're not going to pay.
Yeah.
Right? So the two needs to develop. So whether you go back which I doubt you'll go back, but let's assume you go back, right? They've given you solutions. But if you decide you're going to do something else, make sure that the solution that you are bringing to the gap is in line.
Yeah, and also to evaluate if it is a problem.
Yeah.
Is it an opinion that you have based on the commercial space you were working in? That 9 to 5? It could be an opinion that you have, right? And not necessarily a problem. Because like Dr. Malloy said, these guys are sitting there going, but it's not actually a problem. Right? So it could have been that it's your opinion of what you've seen.
Yeah, or it could be a problem, but not, they talk about not a problem that warrants a business
solution.
Out of a solution. It might be the government passes an act and it takes care of that. It might be that some ideas are good ideas, but not business ideas. It's a good idea, but it's not really, because it's not profitable. Yeah.
After a year?
Yeah. But I know, Mbali, I'm going to be seeing adverts on the social media. Another event. And I'm going to be shaking my head like this.
There goes the money.
I'll give you the Valpa.
I want the Valpa event.
Yes. I will.
Problem and the solution need to measure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I don't know if there's any...
No, I'm good. How are you feeling though?
Yeah, I had a lot of aha moments.
Okay.
I have to
say people,
that.
If they want to buy the meat, or contact details, website.
If they want to buy the meat, they've got my contacts. But anyway, it is 067 833 9805. And then I'm on Facebook. Page is Jemmy's Meat. Jemmy. Yes, Jemmy's Meat. And that will be Facebook, also on Instagram.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for your time.